Most people don't struggle because they lack intelligence. They struggle because their thinking is unstructured. They ask many questions. They consume a lot of information. They think about problems repeatedly. And yet, the same confusion returns. Not because they didn't try hard enough, but because their thinking had no container. In the previous video, we talked about how smart people ask better questions. But asking good questions is only the beginning. If questions are not organized, they scatter your attention instead of sharpening it. Today, we'll talk about how intelligent people turn questions into thinking frameworks, simple structures that help them think clearly across subjects, problems, and decisions. Not hacks. Not templates. Systems you can actually reuse. Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Most people think clarity comes from more information. So they read more, watch more, ask AI more questions. But clarity rarely comes from accumulation. It comes from structure. This is why experts don't feel overwhelmed by complexity. They are not holding more information in their heads. They are organizing it better. Think about how professionals actually think. A doctor doesn't start with random questions. An engineer doesn't explore everything at once. A skilled problem solver doesn't jump between ideas endlessly. They approach problems through structure, often without realizing it. They are not thinking harder. They are thinking within a framework. Now here's the key insight most people miss. A thinking framework is not something you memorize. It is something you reuse. A framework is simply a repeatable way to organize questions, assumptions, decisions. That's it. And once you have one, your thinking changes permanently. The problem is that most people already have frameworks. They're just unconscious. And unconscious frameworks are usually messy. They look like this: jumping between ideas, revisiting the same confusion, feeling busy but unclear. So the goal is not to add a framework. The goal is to make one explicit and improve it. Let's build a simple, practical thinking framework together. This is not theoretical. You can use it while studying, working, or making decisions. It has 4 parts. And importantly, it works before AI, with AI, and without AI. Step 1. Clarify the real problem. Most thinking fails here. People think they have a problem, but they only have a topic. For example, I need to understand this subject. I need to solve this issue at work. I need to make a decision. These are not problems. They are vague intentions. So the first step is always this: what am I actually trying to resolve? Not, what is this about? But, what is unclear or uncertain right now? This single shift prevents hours of wasted effort. If you skip this step, everything that follows becomes noise. Step 2. Surface hidden assumptions. Every problem rests on assumptions. Most of them are invisible. Assumptions like, this must be done quickly. There is only one correct answer. More information will solve this. Smart thinkers pause here. They ask, what am I assuming to be true? What am I not questioning? What would change if one assumption was wrong? This step is uncomfortable and powerful, because many problems dissolve once assumptions are exposed. Step 3. Test relationships, not facts. This is where most people make a mistake. They keep collecting facts. But facts alone don't produce understanding. Understanding comes from relationships. So instead of asking, what else do I need to know? Ask, how does this idea connect to what I already know? What causes what? What depends on what? This is where intelligence shows up. Because the mind doesn't work in lists. It works in patterns. Step 4. Decide or integrate. Thinking that never leads to action is unfinished. So the final step is simple, but often avoided. What does this change for me? That could mean a decision, a new rule, a revised belief, a next step. This is where clarity becomes useful. If nothing changes, the framework wasn't completed. Now notice something important. This framework is not rigid. It doesn't tell you what to think. It tells you how to organize thinking. That's why it works across subjects. Now let's talk briefly about AI. Carefully. AI is most powerful after your framework exists. If you ask AI before clarifying the problem, it fills the vacuum with content. If you ask AI after surfacing assumptions, it helps test them. If you ask AI after defining relationships, it sharpens understanding. AI is a multiplier. It amplifies structure or chaos. This is why some people feel smarter using AI, while others feel overwhelmed. They are using the same tool, but only one group is thinking structurally. Here's a practical rule you can use. Never ask AI a question you haven't already framed for yourself. Even one sentence is enough. That single habit protects your thinking. What makes this powerful is reusability. You don't need a new framework for every subject. You need one good framework used consistently. Over time, your thinking becomes calmer, faster, more confident. Not because you know more, but because you organize better. This is what Clear Thinking Lab is really about. Not intelligence as talent, but intelligence as structure. And structure is learnable. As you go through your next problem, pause and ask, have I clarified the real problem? Have I surfaced my assumptions? Have I tested relationships? Have I integrated this into action? If you can do that, your thinking will improve, with or without AI. In the next video, we'll talk about how to protect deep thinking in a world designed for distraction, and why most productivity advice quietly makes this worse. Until then, notice how you think. Not what you think, but how you structure it. That's where clarity begins.